Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Fellowship of Fandoms podcast video edition where we are covering some recent news that popped up for the Wheel of Time. But first, I want to say shout out to the two gentlemen in the video with me, Strider and Shiv, for just being awesome and having done this really cool weekly consistent rewatch along where they were going through Wheel of Time seasons 1, 2, and 3 back to back to back every week, giving their takes on what the episodes were, delivering the Groot, the Bat, and the Ooglook, basically like the good, bad, and the ugly of all the different episodes. And when we started this, we weren't sure how many people were going to be tuning in, with a brand new podcast, really no advertising. Would it be like 5 to 10 people tuning in? And on Spotify, we're getting almost 100 listens per episode. When it comes to YouTube, we're getting over 100 watches per each episode. So it's just really cool to see the page grow as this video series had gone along. But yeah, before we intro into the news, Strider, welcome.
Thank you very much, good sir. Yeah, it's been a great ride. It's been a couple of months, and we actually just recorded the final episode of the podcast covering the final 2 episodes of Wheel of Time. And yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of levels of I cannot believe it's over. Like the podcast is over, and I guess we'll get into it in a second. What's happening with the Wheel of Time? Shiv, you got any comments before we jump into?
Yeah, the irony was we spent a lot of the time discussing the future of the show on that last episode. And it sounds like this breaking news is going to solidify some of that for us right now. So it's bittersweet for sure.
Yeah, so just, you guys are great with phenomenal timing, and it couldn't have been better timing to finish the rewatch along. And then this news pops up recently over on Reddit, where a gentleman who attended JordanCon made a thread and said the show is probably gone forever. From JordanCon director, the show is not going to come back. The rights have gone back to Red Dragon and will probably never be going to come back. Now, just for clarity, when he says Red Dragon, we believe he means Red Eagle, the rights holder. And below that, you can see the real Rodell wrote, for those that only recently came into the series from the show Red Dragon, I think it's called Red Eagle, is the company that holds most of the non-print rights to Wheel of Time. I think they acquired the rights in the early 2000s and are not only hated by fans, but wife of Robert Jordan as well. Any type of show or movie will need to go through them, and they are notorious for talking big and not delivering. They had very little to do with the show beyond striking a deal with Sony for the rights to make the show. It's not surprising that the rights reverted back to them. Likely some contract expired in August. And for clarity, we don't know this, but John from What Up has been reporting for the past handful of months that he thought the contracts were up in September. If we reached September, then the actors were all free to go try to find new work elsewhere. And at that point, it would be difficult to get the band back together. And then they added, conceivably, they could make another deal with another studio for a show, but it'll likely be brand new. Now, going further into the thread, we have some messages from the OP that kind of help clarify things. Strider, do you mind taking over from the OP standpoint here?
Yes, the OP Ace814 says that they were at the JordanCon, and while they didn't get the video of the statement, basically the long and short of it is that Rafe, the showrunner, wanted the whole show to get funded, but Amazon said no, and because of that, the rights are now back to the OG rights holders and Sony. Another user asks, who is this person? Who did they hear it from? And he says that it is actually from the person who runs the Jordan convention. They're not Rafe, the showrunner, but they heard it from someone close to them. And then this user that asks the question says that actually this person, Jessica, the person who runs the JordanCon, the Jordan convention, has actually been further down in the thread and explained this. And yeah, I guess we can just expand a little bit more here. They ask for further clarification. So did he demand full series to be greenlit? And did Amazon say no to the full series greenlit? So the show was canceled. That was the first question. Second was who now has the rights? Is it iBot or /Red Eagle? or is it Sony? Those are totally two different entities, so please be precise. Just for clarification, Red Eagle, so this entity that has been mentioned in the beginning of the thread, they apparently got rebranded into iWatt, and they have been seemingly notoriously hard to deal with the
Yes.
fandom. It seems like the fandom isn't maybe in the best connection with them. And then, as an answer to this, OP says that yes, first of all, Rafe wanted the whole rest of the things he asked for. The rest of the money Amazon was willing to pay, but Amazon said no and canned it. And secondly, both Red Eagle and Sony have some share. OP is not sure of the split of the rights, but basically Red Eagle slash iWatt has the full control of the rights. So there we go. Before we jump to the final bit, do we want to comment on this? Marking, what do you think?
Yeah, so for me, when this thread originally got linked to me and I started reading it, I'm just skeptical all the time. So when I was reading it, I thought this guy is making this up. It doesn't seem like he has a bunch of solid information. It seems kind of like he wasn't sure Red Eagle, Red Dragon. He's not sure of the right situation. He couldn't like name the person who gave the speech. So I wasn't even sure if they attended JordanCon, and I assumed that if this were that big of a deal, somebody would have been there to record it or chime in as well. And as Strider was talking about the rebrand into iWatt, you may have heard of them recently because when they put out their first press release for this giant triple A game for Wheel of Time, their statement was so vast and vague. They said that basically this game, and they've never made one before, was going to be so big. It was going to cover every era of the Wheel of Time, all of the characters in the Wheel of Time, every region, like every place. They were like basically pitching the world for what this game would be, and there's just no way humanly possible. And they have a history of releasing a show basically on a low tier cable network television at midnight where it wouldn't get watched just so that they could retain the rights because they did get them for so cheap and they didn't want to lose them. But after doubting the OP for the entirety of this thread, I did scroll and I found the user that they were talking about. And they did chime in with a couple statements. And before Shiv gets to reading that, I did do my due diligence. I clicked the profile. I read through all of their other posts and comments so that they could, try my best to verify that this person is who they claim to be. And for all intents and purposes, it looks 100% legit. What Shiv is about to read does come from, I believe it's the the chair of JordanCon. Go ahead, Shiv, and take us away.
Yeah, so the post reads, "Hi, I'm the chair of JordanCon and also director of high fantasy programming at DragonCon. Google Jennifer Lang Wheel of Time and you'll find out what else I've worked on probably. And yes, I did say that the show isn't coming back. They are not looking for another streamer to pick it up. It's gone for good, unfortunately." And Pop Goes the Weasel comments, "Why not?" And she replies, "My understanding is that the current rights holders are not interested in doing that, and the window for it has closed. The principal cast and crew are moving on with projects that have not been announced yet. It's gone." So we're
Boom.
ending on a pretty sad note there.
I appreciate that
Nothing.
they waited for this to go out publicly for basically the end of the series that you guys were doing on the podcast, the rewatch along. I will say this, I do like to joke a lot, and I had this great joke that was probably insensitive. That was like, we cancel our shows and we move on. What else is there to like play on the way of the leaf in the show? But to be fair, as I watched this show, I felt like the show grew every season. I know there's some debate over was season one or season two better. I feel like every season the show did get better. I feel like the audience, maybe it wasn't getting larger, but those people were getting more vocal, more active. They were all using the hashtags. When the show got dropped, the campaign that everybody put together, whether you believe in petitions or not, to see the fandom come together so much to do things like buy billboards, buy advertising, get videos to promote what's going on, have people go picket with signs and sing songs in front of the different studios. all the comments, the lovely comments that a lot of the people left under the videos you two were making about the Wheel of Time and just being supportive in general. It was great to see that side of the fandom. And unfortunately, it's not getting rewarded with another streamer picking it up. The odds were always against something like that happening in the streaming age, where streamers are less likely to invest a lot of money into somebody else's property that technically didn't work on another streaming platform. And it's kind of like if Amazon drops it, the only networks it can go to that are like bigger or more consistent with watching TV would have been Netflix or HBO. We all would have loved for it to wound up on Apple TV Plus because I think they make the best stuff right now. But the audience is like a fraction of what Prime Video or Netflix or HBO gets. So it's just it feels to me there was the Moraine. Sorry, I don't mean to call her Moraine, but she had posted on Instagram where she was like hanging up her stuff and she was like okay with moving on at this point. But a lot of people were still hanging on and holding out hope that before September hit, we could get something together. They could swing a deal. And then rumors came out that they weren't even pitching it to any other networks or studios. And it seems like that post that we just read was sort of like the nail in the coffin. I feel like that at least, unlike the show, gives people a little bit of closure to go, okay, we've done what we could. We hung in there, but this is coming from somebody who's high up for JordanCon. They would be in the know. They would have good connections with people who are probably connected high up to the show, probably also contacts at Prime and other networks. And if they're saying that put a fork in it, I think we can safely put a fork in it at this point. But I again also just want to shout out these two guys right here. Y'all have been awesome, consistent, getting a recording done every single week, not because you felt like it was content that had to be made, but because you guys felt that compelled that you really wanted to talk about this show. Also, Shiv likes talking about The Expanse during the recordings of this show, but it's just it sucks we got into the Wheel of Time community a little bit late, but it was still nice to be a part of it towards the end there. And hopefully this will bring some closure to some folks. Strider, what do you think?
I think that it should also be mentioned that the reason why you know that Shiv talks about the expense all the time during our Wheel of Time coverage was because you have been the one editing our videos. And that was also a very crucial central part because you also haven't skipped a beat with that. So we really appreciate that because, we sit around and talk for an hour and a half about random stuff that we like. And then you come in and make that into something that people might try to want to watch, but then it's at least watchable. So we appreciate you for that. But yeah, it's as I'm happy that you took the lead on this video because I would not have put it as eloquently as you did because I would have been interrupted with being annoyed and maybe sneaking in even a swear or two, maybe even in my own language to like try to cheat the algorithm. It's unbelievable. And as you said, like we kind of went into the TV show fandom at least a little bit too late, but we still got to ride the wave of the hype and to look at how many people have tried to do something really cool and tried to save the show, which again I have shared this many times. I'll share it again. Like, this was a very strong campaign on so many layers, from doing fan videos, writing letters, renting airplanes, renting billboards across US. I don't know what else they did, like so many things. And it is what it is. I guess the wheel weaves as the wheel wills.
Mhm.
And who knows what this will come up as, but at least a lot of people probably got into reading the books. And I gotta say, I might pick them up myself as well soon. It's a bit intimidating since it has, I think, like 14 or 15 books, but why not? I guess that's one way to figure out where the story goes. But just another quick shout out to the crew and to everybody who worked on the show. The show really grew from season to season. The characters were more and more and more likable and relatable with every passing episode. It was just a lot of wonderful stuff. And even some of the original things they did, like I think all the songs that we hear in the show, apparently all of them, or at least most of them, were original content, and yet all of them were banger after banger after banger, which just shows that people behind, well, they have obviously done some things, especially season one, that have alienated some part of the people who know the lore, who have read the books. They did these things that show that the people behind did still really like and appreciate the books, even if their vision might have been flawed. And it's sad that it will not get the chance to wrap up, but it is what it is. And getting more people to read cool books, that's always a win. But yeah, I guess that's my take for now. Shiv, do you want to give us your impressions of this little rewatch along we did and just the whole thing, I guess? How are you feeling about
Yeah,
all of this and this particular news?
it was definitely an epic journey. Crammed in 3 seasons as quickly as we could and covered it as fast as we could. I would say pretty quickly became a fan of the show. Like Varking mentioned, each season got better, and it's such a huge letdown that the season 3 was so good and built up to so many great cliffhangers, and it's just done. We're not going to have any resolution now, and it's like we had glimpses of what could have been, we had teases of what was to come, and it's a huge letdown. So it's just goes to show, like, if you love someone, make sure you're vocal about it. Like, there's a lot of toxicity and a lot of fandoms um nowadays, and it's like, what's the point? You're just ruining the potential of people's enjoyment. Luckily, this was not done by a vocal minority. This was done by corporate greed, potentially, or corporate decisions. But we definitely want to stay vocal about the shows we love. Like, looking at this chart here, the majority of these shows we covered on Fellowship of Fans, House of the Dragons, Rings of Power, obviously. Really great shows that we love to cover. We love fantasy, we love sci-fi. We want to keep covering more of this, and it's sad that one of them is gone a little too soon. So, with that, I guess I can close by saying, now that the Wheel of Time podcast comes to a close, I can retire and go on a vacation to the hills of Tanchico. So that's where you can find me.
Someone
I
give
like
him a
it.
microphone to drop it.
I was trying to figure out a way to also just real quickly while he was like retired to the hills of Tanchico. I was thinking of like throwing Expanse in there somewhere to also
Ah,
add on to it. Yeah. What I would like to do before we leave, first to the viewers and the people who have stuck with the podcast because it was Wheel of Time specifically and found your way to us through that. One, everybody's going to grieve how they want to grieve. Everybody does it their own way. But as you get over that grief, or maybe you don't, but as you learn to cope with it, what would you like to see us cover next? Like, what are you guys going to be watching, or are you just swearing off TV for a little bit? But do you have a show on the
The
platform?
Expanse. Oh, what?
Exactly. You know, maybe we can cover The Expanse. Now, looking at this image above us, Strider, I'll start with you. But if you could pick one actor from the above and put them in another show that's currently airing, who would you grab, and what show would it be?
so just so I don't forget, because I'm pretty sure I have ADHD and I might forget about it. Before I answer the question, just another quick shout out to Nerdy Guns, who's been there for every single episode of the podcast,
Yes.
commenting and liking and everything, like absolute MVP. And as well as Light Blinded Fool, who has joined us, especially in like the later half of recording these this Wheel of Time coverage. And of course, one of our longtime buddies, Priscilla TV, also was there to support us quite often. But yeah,
Yes.
it's
While
really appreciated.
while we were
Yeah,
recording this, this recording started 20 minutes and 45 seconds ago. 23 minutes ago, Light Blighted Fool have left a comment on the most recent podcast episode you guys did.
there we go. Love it.
Yeah.
Hell
And
yeah.
Priscilla's also in the comments as well.
Yeah, there we go. Classic. And I'm sure Nerdy Guns is about to join because they haven't missed a single episode, and we really appreciate that. Even if it's just the three of you listening, hell yeah. And it's not. It's been more than 100 people on a couple of platforms, as Martin has said.
Yeah.
But to answer the question, I think it's an insanely hard choice actually, because the cast is wild. Like I do not know the names sadly of all these people yet.
But you know the
I'm
characters.
sure I do know the characters. The actress that plays Lanfear, she's been absolutely amazing in
Yeah.
Peaky Blinders. She will maybe have a word or two about that as well. Um, and I hope that she is in the movie Peaky Blinders that they announced. So hopefully she comes back for this, and I hope we see more of her. She's been an icon of this show. The menace, the charisma, everything. She was terrific. But on the other hand, we have the one and only Rosamund Pike. Also, for maybe some people who do not know, she has been narrating the Wheel of Time books, and
Yep.
she has done an amazing job with that as well. I've heard some excerpts. I don't know. It's a hard choice. Just off the top of my head, I mean, I guess the easy answer is Rosamund Pike. But I think, for example, all five of the Two Rivers kids, or young people as they are in the show, because they're a bit younger in the books. I think any of them would be an excellent addition to Rings of Power, for example. But yeah, I don't know. If we can
Yeah.
get Rosamund Pike to show up somehow, I'm not sure who she would play because I think most of the big roles are kind of filled. But whoever she
Yeah.
plays, I'm sure she would do a stellar job.
Yeah, but you can always have like a smaller character that because of her performance feels like a bigger role. So, and it's Lord of the Rings. There's a million people that get named throughout the books. They can find time to slide her in somewhere. Um I do feel that was a bit safe because I do feel like Lanfear has been like, if you had to pick one person, one character, I feel like seasons 1 through 3, she's had the most consistently great, not just performance for herself, but the writing for her, the outfits for her, and the visual effects that have accompanied the things that she has done. Um, has just been like the standout of the show for me. Um, the person I would this is not gonna be popular, the show that I put them in, but I have a reason for why. So if you've already picked Lanfear, and I'm not gonna be another picker of her because Shiv might have to because she's right behind him. The actress who played
She
Elaine.
wishes.
Yeah. True. True. The
Don't
actress who
threaten me with a
plays
good time.
Elaine over here on the left, who sang The Hills of Tanchico, have
Mm,
grown so fond of her during the
yeah.
show. Now, we pulled up the little fantasy chart and where it was like comparing all the shows. The one that's rated the worst is The Witcher, but I feel like she would do so good in The Witcher, being like the other side to Joey Beatty's bard singing, where they can have like a song type thing back
Mm,
and forth. Like that would
okay.
be so cool between the two of them. Shiv,
Okay.
who would you pick and what show would you move them to? And how is it not Lanfear?
I'll do a couple since some of mine were stolen, but
So I'll just
or
say
lost.
I will officially steer clear from saying Lanfear. I'm gonna go with Rosamund Pike. If I
There
have
you go.
to pick one,
Oh,
I will pick Rosamund Pike.
so I'll start with Lanfear. Natasha O'Keefe. I could see her play. I would be cool to see her playing a villager from Rings of Power, so like from Polar Gear or something like that. I could see her being really scrappy. Um, Rosamund Pike would be cool in some kind of elvish character. I could easily see that. She basically has done that throughout the Wheel of Time, almost even wizard like. Um, I have mentioned as well, I forgot his name, but Rand, the actor who plays
Johnson
Rand,
Sadowski.
Yeah, I thought
he,
about picking him because I think
Mm,
he'd make a great Anarion.
mm,
that would be good. Through one of the episodes, I said he would make a good Jedi. Like he has like
Mm,
Anakin qualities, so I would love to see him in some Star Wars adaptation at some point. And then the actress you recommended, I could see her playing. This one's going to be out of left field, like a Harfoot type character from Rings of Power.
yeah.
She's kind of got that whimsical aspect to her, which would be
mm.
nice.
I think that's a good take. Just
Or sh-
I'll just take your Natasha Keefe as a peasant woman in Pelargir and raise it to Natasha Keefe in Pelargir starts off as a simple peasant woman. However, she's strong. She's strong-willed. She's
Mhm.
capable. She's smart. She cares about the people around her. Through a season or two, is trying to help these people be safe. And then a certain mysterious stranger shows up, and he says, "Hey, I can help you. I can
Oh,
help you protect your people. I'm going to give you this ring here that I have. And this ring, it's going to do a lot of good for you. How about you take this ring and keep your people safe and everybody wins? And then she takes the ring because she's that awesome, cool, and cares about her people.
I love it. I love it. Now, since you guys broke the rules of picking one and you got two, I'm going to pick a second and say, see my boy in the middle of the screen here, Ish Perrin.
oh,
You
I know
see,
where this is going.
he's got the like pushed out hair. He's got a good beard. He's wearing some plate-ish, male-ish armor, good boots on. And look, he happens to be holding two weapons. One looks like an axe. One looks like a hammer. The Perrin actor would make one hell of a dwarf in the Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power,
100%.
and I'd be more than happy to welcome him in the ranks. And if he wants to DM me, I can put him in touch with some people who maybe can make this happen for like season 4 and season 5. I'm just trying to look out for people, make sure they stay employed. That's all I'm doing. That's all I'm doing.
Hell yeah.
And I should round it out by making my obligatory Expanse reference, but
Mhm.
the actress that played Alita, she could join the Rings of Power and play whatever the heck she wants because she's awesome.
Some high up priestess over on the faithful side of Numenor where Anarion is.
That would be perfect casting, honestly.
Oh,
Yep, she would absolutely nail that down.
And not for nothing, but I think the JordanCon higher up had mentioned that most of these people are already going to start work on other projects that haven't been announced yet. That doesn't mean it's a show that hasn't been announced yet. It just means that they've not been announced for whatever they're working on. Maybe a lot of the costuming and VFX people and those other folks behind the scenes may have just moved over to the Rings of Power to help speed it up to make sure that it comes out next year and they can take all that fantasy, high fantasy that they already got experience with from the Wheel of Time and they can move it over there. You know, the shows can still be friendly sister shows and support each other. It doesn't have to be a tearing down.
What's that?
And with that, I say we should go ahead and close it out. And once again, thank everybody who has tuned in so far. Sorry, this is probably not the news that most of you who were tuning in wanted, but hopefully this will allow for some closure as we had our serious moments covering the bad news and also some lighthearted moments to try to bring the spirits back up. With that being said, that's goodbye from us over at Fellowship of Fans, aka the Fellowship of Fandoms podcast. And we hope to catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
See ya.